Welcome to Cuisines and Cocktails. I'm your host, James Jens from Dinners with Class. In today's episode, we're going to do a feast of vegetables. And we're going to start out with a grapefruit carrot juice vodka cocktail. We're going to first get a flag of ruby red grapefruit zest. They're going to use for a garnish. Then we're going to always roll the citrus fruits. It helps get the most juice out of it. And we're going to juice the ruby red grapefruit. And then we're going to peel a little bit of ginger. And the easiest way to peel ginger is with a spoon. And it kind of glides over all the knobs and little fissures instead of trying to cut it off and waste a lot of the ginger, or use a peeler, which never really works because it has so many fingers and knobs on it. But really we just need a couple of good slices, and then we're going to top it off with a little bit of carrot juice and 2 ounces of vodka. We have our chilled glass. And shake. Strain to your cocktail glass. And this would be a great alternative to like a mimosa or a Bloody Mary for a Sunday brunch. And then put your flag of grapefruit zest. And then when we come back, we're going to start on a winter squash and mushroom burrito, and then we're going to do a tofu and couscous stuffed pepper. Welcome back. We're going to start on the burrito, which is going to have some winter squash, butternut squash, some mushrooms, peppers, onions, a tomatillo sauce, and finish with sour cream. We're going to start by putting a little bit of olive oil in the bottom of the pan. It's been heating on medium-high. Give it a nice little time to let the oil get up to temperature and that shimmery, non-pooling, but just nice coating. And we're going to start by adding the winter squash. And while this is cooking, we can cut up the peppers. Cut the top and bottom. Cut down the pith of the pepper. Roll it around. Save the top and bottoms for another application, or if you make vegetable stock. Basically, we're just looking for a nice caramelized coloring on all the sides of the butternut squash. And it'll take maybe 5 or 6 minutes to get fully the nice color and richness. And we're going to try to keep these kind of a medium to large dice, kind of to match the chunkiness of the butternut squash. And we're probably going to be able to make 2, maybe even 3 burritos out of this. And this is another recipe where I'll give you the basic starting off point, but if you want to tweak it, maybe add some, if you have leftover Spanish rice or some basmati rice left over from a previous meal, you could definitely saute that in with this. If you wanted to have a breakfast burrito, you could definitely add some scrambled eggs to this when we fold it all together and roll it into the burrito. We're going to have a jalapeno and a white onion. And again, we're going to keep everything a little more on the chunky side just to match the butternut squash. A couple cloves of garlic. And these we're going to smash so that we can basically have them dissolve almost completely in with the mixture. Just run through crosswise a couple times with the knife. And you want to kind of balance out how much oil you actually have, but you definitely don't want to have the pan end up getting dry. So we're going to just add a little bit more olive oil, just so there's a cooking medium. For the squash to caramelize in and not burn. And I think we're safe to add the first round of peppers and onions. And we're going to add a little bit of salt and pepper. This is a red Anaheim pepper. Add a little bit more heat, not too much, so kind of a mild pepper, but a little bit more than a bell pepper. So to this, we're also going to add some taco seasoning. You can pick out your favorite one. We're going to stir this around. Then this is going to be a good time to add the mushrooms. And it looks like we've absorbed most of the oil, so we're going to add a little bit of oil just so we don't burn the vegetables. So at this point, we're going to let this caramelize for a little bit. And then we're going to add a little bit of water, cover it, let it simmer for 5 minutes. And then when we come back, we'll assemble the burrito and get ready to caramelize once we have it all wrapped to serve, and then finish it off, and then we'll start on the roasted pepper, the Moroccan pepper, stuffed peppers. So while the burrito filling is cooking and simmering away over on the corner, we're going to get started on the stuffed peppers. And with the stuffed peppers, we're going to serve it with a romesco sauce. And romesco sauce is a vegetable-based sauce that's thickened with nuts. So we're going to use almonds today. So in a pan, we're just going to dry toast some almond slivers. And while those are toasting, we're going to just rough cut a pepper, tomatoes, celery, carrots, and onions. And we're also going to add some herbs. And for the romesco sauce, we don't need to worry. Literally, you just need to cut it up so it fits in the pan, and then we can pour it into a blender to puree. But if you're new to knife skills, it is a good chance to work on proper technique. 1 carrot. This is a great sauce if you like pita chips, or you want to have crudité for like a lunch. So don't worry if you make more than what you need for this dish. You can definitely use it for other aspects of a weekly meal planning. Some fresh parsley, and we're just gonna rough chop it, because again, it's gonna go in a blender. 2 tomatoes. And again, we're gonna remove the core. Put your thumb close to the end, and then just spin it around the core itself, and it comes right out. And a white onion. Just going to stir all of the vegetables around. The almonds have a little bit of color, but not a ton. You don't need them overly caramelized or roasted. Just kind of a light almond flavor to them. We're going to add a little bit of olive oil. You can also use safflower oil or grapeseed oil. We're going to let this just saute a little bit, get some color, enhance the flavors, sweeten whenever you caramelize or saute something, the natural sugars of the onions or the peppers or the produce that you're caramelizing, the sugars come out and become a little bit more sweetness, so you have a varied flavors in your dish. That's why, as I always use as, building a house, this is kind of a foundation step. So take your time on this one. So we're just gonna let this cook for maybe 2 or 3 minutes. Then we're going to add some vegetable stock, let it simmer for about 10 minutes, and then puree it. So when we come back, we'll have it to the point of being able to caramelize and go into the blender to puree. The sauce romesco is nice and soft, and the vegetables are cooked. We're going to blend it for a little bit. And one thing you want to make sure is that there is still liquid in your vegetables so that it's saucy and not ketchup consistency. And once it's nice and pureed, you want to just give it a taste with a spoon. Needs a little bit of salt, pepper. Puree it just a little bit to mix the seasonings up. Alrighty. And it's loose, but it's not, it'll still glaze our peppers when we put them together. And we'll set that aside for a second. So this is just vegetable stock that I've gotten to a boil. We're gonna add the Moroccan couscous, just stir it around, and let it simmer for about 5 minutes. The water is absorbed and the couscous is nice and bloomed. While that's working, we can get the pepper split in half, cut out the core, and get ready to stuff our tofu and couscous. And we're going to just crumble up, we're only going to need about maybe a third of this firm tofu for the stuffed peppers. And we're going to put in a little bit of thyme. And that's going to help it kind of marry the flavors of the vegetable romesco and the tofu. The peppers is kind of a good intermediary herb. Alrighty. And we'll set this aside, wait for the couscous, and I'm gonna go wash my hands, and when I come back, we'll be able to roll the burritos and get them ready to caramelize the outside and glaze with a tomatillo sauce. Okay, so we have the tofu, we have the Moroccan couscous that's cooked. Combine that and a little bit of our romesco. Stir it around. And then we're going to just fill our peppers. And after this, we can cover them, put them in the oven for about 25 minutes or so, just to get the pepper itself heated through. And we'll serve it with a little bit more of the romesco on the plate, and we can then plate up the burritos and serve. Stay tuned and we'll be right back. Okay, so we have the romesco, we have the mise en place for the stuffed peppers ready to go, and we are ready to fill the burritos. So we're going to take a flour tortilla. If you like corn or if you have gluten intolerance, you can definitely use whatever fits your dietary needs. We're going to take a good couple of spoonfuls, and this is where if you'd want to add scrambled eggs to make breakfast burritos, or if you have leftover black beans or white rice or something, you can definitely add that here. And this is cojita cheese. We're going to put a little bit inside with some cilantro. We have some tomatillo sauce and a little bit of hot sauce. We're going to put it in the center, and then we're going to just roll it up. And we're going to caramelize the whole tortilla in a hot pan with oil. And this just kind of lets it get a little crispy crunch to the outside. All right, let's turn this over. And you can do these a day or two ahead of time. Again, if you're doing like a party for lunch or a brunch, you can get these, line up on a sheet tray, cool them down. Then when you need them, you just need to throw them in the oven for 350 for 5 to 10 minutes. Just get them heated all the way through, and they're good to serve. One. When we come back, we'll have the burritos cooked. We'll fill the stuffed peppers and be ready to eat. All right, so we have the stuffed peppers and the burrito, and we're going to plate. We're gonna put a little bit of the romesco on the bottom of a bowl. Take our peppers. We're gonna put a little bit more of the tomatillo sauce on the bottom. Take one of these burritos, set it down, top with a little bit of sour cream, a little more taco sauce or hot sauce, and we're going to give them just a little bit of fresh jalapeno. Alrighty, so that concludes this episode of Cuisines and Cocktails, where we have a stuffed green pepper with Moroccan couscous and romesco sauce, and a vegetarian mushroom and butternut squash burrito with a tomatillo sauce. Thanks for joining us. I'm Chef James Jens from Dinners with Class, wishing you the best of cooking.